Okay, so this is day one of the course for engineering. We will go through the syllabus and some other information the next time we meet. Just so we're clear, your goal for today is to begin your first project you're going to be working on, which is just a presentation on information of engineering. What you're basically looking to do is you're going to choose, okay, a specific branch of engineering. Now, this can be anything from biomedical to nuclear to electrical, sound engineering. The list is going to go on, and you can find connections to engineering in just pretty much every field: mechanical engineering, automotive engineering, your aerospace and aeroplane. Or aeronautics and aerospace engineering, different types of engineering. So your job is to find one that interests you. If you have a hard time doing that, find something that interests you, and you can almost always stick the word engineering in front of it, and it'll come back to something that actually is a legitimate career. And so engineering is connected to just about every job. So your job is to find that branch that you're interested in. Now there's a piece of paper that's being handed out by the substitute that should have a list of some websites. Now, the nice thing about those websites is those are legitimate websites, official organizations of engineering, but they also give you some sparks. For instance, you look at that list, you're going to see things like Associated for Computing Machinery or Audio Engineering Society. So I'm hearing some of these Institute of Chemical Engineers. I'm seeing some of these, and as I look at them, I'm like, oh, agricultural engineers or biological engineers, civil engineers, and so on. So it'll give you a spark, but do some searches online. Look for different types or branches of engineering. Find one that you're interested in. And then you're asked to be able to present in a PowerPoint several different things. The first thing you want to be able to present, of course, is who you are and that, but we want to talk about why you're interested. So why you care about that branch of engineering. Next thing you need to be able to present is the past, present, and some of the predicted future, or what you consider to be the future of that field. So, genetic engineering, well, we have a past to that. It was first unlocking the genome, figuring out how is it built, and how is the genome built, and what does it all mean, decoding it. Presently, we're doing genetic studies on, cancers and things like that. How can we predict who's going to have cancer based on their genetic structure? And then things like, in the future, maybe we're going to be able to edit someone's genetic sequencing to try and prevent some of those. Now, you can get into the whole discussion of ethical or not ethical. That is something we will talk about in this class. But the first question is, where does it look to be going, or where can you see it going? Maybe you have a little bit of imagination. But look around. There's some good information there. In all of this information, you need to make sure you have at least one interesting fact about the field. You might not think that engineers have the most interesting jobs, but I bet if you dig down deep, you're going to find some really cool things that they're doing. Maybe something about the past, and you can link it into the past, present, and future, but there should be some interesting facts that you come across, and you want to share those. Your PowerPoint is only going to have 4 or 5 slides. It's not going to have a lot there, but you're going to need to know some information as you present it. Your presentation should take basically 2 to 5 minutes, no more than a minute a slide on average. And you should, because we're good citizens, good digital citizens, we should have citations. Okay, so do a works cited just at the end. It's all pretty much going to be website based, so just add those links in at the end of your PowerPoint. So I'm going to show you a few examples to kind of give you an idea of what exactly we're looking for. So one of our students last semester did biomedical engineering. He's pretty intrigued by it, and we'll just click through a couple of his slides. He found some cool pictures to insert. Robotic heart. That'd be an interesting. I mean, we know we have things like artificial hearts, but I mean that looks pretty high performance. That looks like more like an engine than a heart. But he talks about what biomedical engineering is. Make sure everybody knows what he means by that. He talks about the past, some of the first prosthetics, things like that. He talks about the present. What are we doing currently? What are some of the things we're doing with biomedical? That connection between medical and living and working with different stuff. 3D printing, ears, stem cells, things like that. All of that stuff is sort of the future. And so he talked about those things and added in his works cited. So it's not a lot in the PowerPoint, but you need to gather real information. Don't just try to fill in with what you think you know. Go out to sites, search, look for pictures, look for information. I had another student doing aviation engineering. Okay, he was really interested in military planes, and so he started talking about it from that perspective. There were lots of different ideas, but in the past talked about how it got started, what an aviation engineer is, okay, navigation systems, pilot safety, aircraft safety, a lot of things like that. The present, what we're working on, FedEx and United Airlines. He talked a lot about how they're working on going to that next step of can you go unmanned planes or not, things like that. The future, being able to fly without looking at the instrument panel, having that just kind of structured within a pair of glasses, different things like that, different fuels of energy. And they showed some cool pictures of some mock-ups of where the future of airplanes might be. Those weren't real, but they were the future that we could potentially have, which would be kind of cool. And then I had another student do architectural engineering. So this student took a step to the side because a lot of people think, well, an architect is an architect. Well, yes, an architect has certain guidelines, but to be an effective architect, you have to have some understanding of engineering. Or when you go and you draw up what you want, the engineers are going to come back and say, well, you can't do that. And so Carson understood there was a relationship between architecture and engineering, and he wanted to elaborate on that. And so if you have some questions about what's allowed, what's not allowed, come talk to me when we meet again on Friday, and we'll sort of filter out some of the issues that you might be having. Today's a starting the process and working on that. But he talked about what an architectural engineer is. Okay, apply engineering principles to the construction, planning, design, buildings of other structures. He talked about some of the famous engineers, and they were basically architects and engineers at the same time. And that's what he really wanted to talk a lot about. He showed some of those buildings that were built in the past. Talks about what we're trying to do now, the issues that we're facing and the engineers are dealing with. Some of the buildings that are currently being built and the goals being met there. And then the future. What are the challenges that face engineers in the future, and what will it look like as we go forward dealing with those challenges? And then, of course, his works cited. Now, when you create this PowerPoint in the lab today, what I really want you to do, I need you to share that with me. So here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to walk you through an example of that. First thing, you want to make sure that you're in your Office 365. If you don't know how to get there, you're going to come to the main page, hit Students, and there's your Office 365. You click in that. You use your first initial last name at kimberly.edu as your email username, and then your password is your ID number. And it'll bring you to a page like this. You may or may not have done this before. You may or may not have shared things before. But let's say that I take and I'm working on one of my engineering projects. Okay, so I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to open a new PowerPoint. Okay, you'll create a new PowerPoint here in your Outlook account, or your Office 365 account, rather. And I might just go to a different tab. Once you're up and you've got it running, let's come over here. You'll see that there's this Share with People button right up here in the top right. Sorry, I can't really point at it, but if I click Share with People, okay, it's going to provide me the opportunity to share it. Now, the email address you're going to use, okay, is Mr. Welch's email address, and that's bwelch@kimberly.edu. You don't have to give me the right to edit it. If you'll at least, when you do it, at least give me the right to view, okay? And so right here you can click Allow Editing, take that off. That allows me to see it versus view it. I don't care whether or not I can edit it. I just want to be able to view it. That's how you will share it in class. You will share the rights to me, and then I will pull it up on the presentation on the screen in the room. Okay, so I hope, crossing my fingers, I hope that you feel like you got an idea of what you're working on today. Again, find a branch of engineering, start doing some research, gather stuff, save it in your PowerPoint online, okay? Because that will allow you to go back to it even if you're not on the same computer. And you don't need a flash drive for that. You should be able to get started that way. If you have questions, I'm sure someone in the room has done this before and can help you out, okay? But get as much done as you can today. We'll be back in the computer lab again on Friday, and we'll hash it out there, okay? Thanks, and good luck.